Hey guys, what's going on? It's Andrew from AR Media. In tonight's video, I'm going to review Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in 4K Blu-ray. I'm going to give you my thoughts on the movie itself, the picture quality, if it's worth the pickup. Let's get to it. So I gave Guardians a watch a couple of weeks ago on Vudu and Dolby Vision, and I posted my review about that. And today I picked up the 4K Blu-ray, and I'm super pumped to give you my impressions on it. So first I'll go over the movie very briefly. So I went over it briefly in my last review as well. But if you're a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy 1, you'll definitely like this movie. In my opinion, this is one of the funnest Marvel movies overall. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and really is a good time all around. There's a lot of jokes in there, so if you're a fan of comedy, you'll get that with this. It's a great action thrill ride, and really, if you're a fan of the first, or even if you haven't seen the first, go check out the first, give this a watch. Pretty much guarantee you'll like it. Now on to the picture quality, what you guys came here for. Now this is a 2K digital intermediate upscale to 4K. And the reason for that being is this was actually all shot in 8K on a Red Weapon camera. But the reason they did that was the visual effects were all finished at 2K. And as you know, this movie is very visual effects heavy. So the reason they finished it at 2K is because the amount of visual effects in there, it would just cost the studio too much time and too much money. Now I do wish this was a 4K digital intermediate, but with that, let me tell you that the 2K to 4K upscale brings a very, very large increase in detail, an increase in depth. Now, depth is the one thing I really want to point out. In the intro screen, when Groot is dancing separately and everybody's fighting in the background, he's completely isolated from everybody else. It almost looks like 3D. It really looks like he is separated off the screen. The detail on Groot himself is ridiculous. You see all the highlights. It is a beautiful picture with absolutely no grain. This is a digitally shot image and just looks superb on my OLED. Now let's get to the black levels. The black levels on this are amazing. So a lot of this takes place in space, as you can tell, and the blacks are inky. And there's not a lot of dark scenes in this movie, but the dark scenes that there are, the shadow detail is great. You could tell out the little details within the dark images. You could tell always what's going on in the scene, and there's never a scene where it's not lit enough like you deal with some other movies. Now, let me get to the HDR on this quick, because that really is the star of the show. I mean, the 2K to 4K upscale brought the increase in depth, detail, sharpness, clarity, but the real star of the show is the HDR. Now, the high dynamic range on this brings so much to the table just because of how colorful of a movie this is. Now, this is probably the most vibrant, colorful movie I have on 4K. Actually, it definitely is the most vibrant, colorful 4K disc I have, and it just pops off the screen. Everything pops off the screen. In the beginning, you have a humongous monster literally vomiting out rainbows. Throughout the scene, you have there's a point in the movie where they have to jump in between planets, and it just colors upon colors. You get teals, greens, reds, yellows, everything. It just looks amazing on here. And really, that's where I think this disc shines, is that the HDR. If it wasn't for the HDR, I don't think this would really be a reference disc, but because of the HDR, I'm going to give this the reference title. I think with the HDR and the wide color gamut, and how colorful and vibrant this movie is, everything just pops off the screen. It really feels like it's coming at you. I haven't tried 3D yet, but the 4K alone feels like it's 3D. So I can only imagine how good the 3D will be. And really, I can only imagine how good the future Disney and Marvel releases are going to be in 4K. Now, last thing I want to do is compare this to the Dolby Vision version, because that's actually the version I watched first. And let me say they are very comparable, but I am going to give the one up to the Dolby Vision version, and that's even over streaming. So that's with the compression and everything. So I do think that the 4K Blu-ray is sharper, and I think there's a bit more detail on the 4K Blu-ray for sure. But the one thing where the Dolby Vision wins is the wide color gamut and the Dolby Vision HDR. It just handles the HDR better, the Dolby Vision. The way it handles it on Vudu, the colors just show more variances within the colors. And when it comes to a movie that's so bright and so vibrant, you could really tell those differences. So they are noticeable, but very subtle at the same time. Both of these, both disc and Vudu version, are a win in my opinion. Both of them are reference quality. I think you should definitely go pick this up. The colors will blow you away. On Drax, you see all the stubble. On every character, you see every mark, all the makeup. Everything really just has a texture to it, has layers to it, and the HDR just shines on this transfer. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think of this transfer. Let me know down below if you picked it up. Subscribe for more content in the future, and have a good night, guys.